Welcome back for a new collections video. This time we're looking at what I have so far in my vinyl collection. Now keep in mind, small, because I only started really collecting here and there vinyls over the past several months, even though I didn't get a record player until just recently. Still, I wanted to here and there, so I had some music once I did get one. This is something I've actually had for a few years. This was a special limited single on a picture vinyl that was included in the bundle when I pre-ordered back in like 2016, 2017 for the previous Disturbed album Immortalized, which got me art, special digital version of the album, physical CD, and a special picture vinyl with the single of the Vengeful One. Now, side A would include the single of the Vengeful One. Side B, which of course just says Vengeful One, as you see also here, it says instrumental. So yeah, side 1 is a regular version of the song, and then side B is a special instrumental version of the Vengeful One. Okay, resuming. Sorry, pause. To make sure I got back in, I bought these special plastic cases because these are the kind of things you want to put your vinyls in just to protect them longer than have them in the cardboard ones, which can more likely do surface damage on it, plus leave a lot more like paper particles and things, which more likely screw up the vinyl and could also screw up the needle on your record player as well. So definitely keep these in mind if you want to get into vinyl. Definitely do your research. Look at things. But anyways, this, yeah, was special. Next, I have two special 45s, which are just basically main records, basically a little bit larger than CDs wise. This was a special bonus EP of two different songs, one song on each side, of course, for the band Ghost. This was a special one that was included with the vinyl copy of their, of course, last full album, Prequel, which is easily my favorite from them. But yeah, I thought it was cool that this was included at no extra charge, plus a small, like, little poster art, which I thought was awesome as well. But yeah, I definitely appreciate and I love, like, this cool art style, like, smoke look to the vinyl mini one. I thought it was just awesome. Also, the other one, speaking of the other 45, is also Ghost. This was included, of course, a show a few, like about 2 years ago or so. It was 2019. This included two special EPs, which were the songs Kiss the Go-Goat and Mary on a Cross. Kiss the Go-Goat was obviously inspired sound by The Doors. But this is pretty cool. This also, the version I got, also included a special art poster, one of like 1,000 made. But this is designed more like a traditional 45, which is what a traditional 45 looks like this. And I think it's just really cool seeing stuff like this. To me, there's just something special about vinyls. But let's get on to the main stuff. First up was a special collection of different like rock and metal artists in celebration of course, the DC big event thing that went on, heavy metal. So it makes sense, and I love this album cover art, this design of Superman. I absolutely love this design of, obviously, Wonder Woman, and this, like, Reaper version of Batman. It's just awesome. But, and then this is on the other side, what the artwork looks like. Then you open it up, and you have this, which on both sides, And then you have the special vinyl. Now, I'm not going to try to pull all the way, but show you. It's a special limited, like, color print. Yeah, it's a orange colored vinyl, which is kind of cool, in my opinion. But this has a variety of different music artists on it. Artists such as Mastodon and a few others. But of the main ones I know, Mastodon is the one I know best. Next is, like I mentioned, is Ghost, with I think eventually becoming a iconic album cover in the future I see, and of course that is the cover for Prequel, which I love, with of course the specific song Rats. And yeah, I just appreciate Tobias Forge for his taste in gothic artwork. And also, this also includes a special, like, smoke style art vinyl, which I absolutely love this vinyl. Next up is one of three I picked up less than a week ago when I made a trip to one of my local music stores, which specializes in vinyl music, specifically vinyl records. So they have a pretty big selection also with CDs. They even carry like cassette tapes and VHS videos. They specialize in more like retro, well, what would be considered retro. And I nearly went crazy as soon as I saw, as I'm sure anybody that's listening to music stuff from me by now knows, my all-time favorite rock band is A Perfect Circle, which made me go nuts because they actually had 3 of the 4 albums done by A Perfect Circle, all 3 studio albums, but did not have the special remix album, Judith. But still more than worth it, and yeah, I had to pick all 3 records up of A Perfect Circle just because of how much I love the band. But this was their very first studio album, which I think is good, but not nearly as good as the other 2 regular studio albums. Still amazing, and I can't believe I lucked out. Next is the big one for me, which is my #1 favorite rock album of all time. And of course, that is from A Perfect Circle. Arguably also the greatest sophomore album of all time, at least in my opinion. With the 13th Step, which is great. With amazing songs like Weak and Powerless, Gravity, as well as, of course, songs like. Also, Blue is a great song. The Outsider I love. Pet is pretty good. Lullaby's not bad. There's many great songs on this album. And the other one, of course, is their last studio album, which is a double vinyl, which is pretty cool. It has 2 versions on both sides. Basically, which version you want, and of course, that being their album, which I enjoyed more than I think a lot of people. Of course, that being obviously their album, Eat the Elephant, which had many great songs. And I absolutely love this cover art. Next up is so far I've been able to get hold of 2 albums, of course, from arguably, in my opinion, the greatest pop artist slash crossover pop rock band or whatever of all time, in my opinion, Coldplay. Was thrilled that I found for a good price, pre-owned but in mint condition, of, in my opinion, their second best studio album, that being Rush of Blood to the Head, which is great. Has many great songs. So many good songs. In My Place was the very first song I ever heard off this album, though I would say as time went on, The Scientist became my favorite song, then probably Clocks. But then I would say probably between In My Place, But also, I really actually like songs like A Whisper, Daylight, underrated songs in my opinion, and even A Rush of Blood to the Head is not a bad song either. And the closer I actually think is pretty solid as well. And in my opinion, of modern albums, this is iconic cover art, in my opinion. Speaking of iconic, arguably, in my opinion, Coldplay's greatest album of all time. An album that is amazing, beginning to end with every single song, whether it be starting with Technicolor instrumental, then going into one of my all time favorite songs, uh, Cemeteries of London, even into the middle of the album with great songs like Viva La Vida or Yes 42, closing out the album with great songs like Violet Hill, and I think a bit underrated, maybe Strawberry Swing, but love Coldplay. Always will. But Viva La Vida is just an amazing album, in my opinion. Many great songs. And just a amazing listen all the way through. Also, Lovers in Japan, Region of Love, great song. Now we go on to a bit older all-time classics. Like I've said before, in my opinion, the greatest of all-time personal favorite Metallica album with the Black Album, also known as the self-title. With amazing songs, I mean, good luck finding a single person out there has not heard Inner Sandman. Admit, it's my all-time favorite song, mostly because it was the first song I ever heard from him. Though I will say, I also really like songs like Holier Than Thou is good. I personally feel the first of The Unforgiven is a underrated song in my opinion. I'm also a pretty big fan of the song The Struggle Within, in my opinion, is another good one. Nothing Else Matters. There's just many great songs on this album, and I think personally has maybe the highest highs in my opinion, but that's just my view. Everybody has their own opinion. Arguably, in my opinion, the second best studio album from Metallica with Ride the Lightning. Also, are, in my opinion, the most consistent album that they've ever done. Starting off with great songs like Fight Fire with Fire, great songs. Ride the Lightning is a great song. For Whom the Bell Tolls is a all-time classic, in my opinion. Also, I absolutely love the closing track. I mean, great instrumental. One of the best instrumentals, I think, of all time, perhaps. But to each their own. But yeah, in my opinion, this is by far the most consistent Metallica album ever released. Another great, all the way through, beginning to end listen, though, for me personally, my second favorite album from, of course, the all-time greats Pink Floyd. My personal favorite will always probably be The Wall, because of iconic songs like Hey You, Comfortably Numb, Another Brick in the Wall, and many others. But this is also an amazing listen. If you just want to listen to before going to sleep, this is a great album to listen to before you go to bed. It'll help you just relax and soothe. I occasionally have been known to listen to this album beginning to end, and does help me actually sleep pretty well. But it's definitely probably one of, if not maybe the most iconic rock cover art of all time. I mean, honestly, who can mistake this cover? Then we go to arguably my personal favorite album from, of course, this all-time great band, of course, Led Zeppelin, and this being the fourth album. A very unique art style. I think it's become somewhat iconic, this album cover, because it's kind of hard to mistake this for any other artist other than Led Zeppelin. To be fair, I would say another reason why this is probably, in my opinion, the greatest Led Zeppelin album of all time, which is called Made in Germany. But I think it's probably just because the fact This, of course, did arguably their best well-known song of all time, Stairway to Heaven. Though they've had many other great songs over the years, Stairway to Heaven will always be probably my top 5 favorite songs of all time. No matter what, just between the guitar solo, the great voice, singing, and everything in this specific song with Stairway to Heaven from Robert Plant, the great guitar work from Jimmy Page, and many other great elements. Second to last, arguably my personal favorite Beatles album of all time, also in my opinion the most iconic cover art of all time for a Beatles album. Though some people argue Sgt. Pepper, also many people argue Sgt. Pepper is the Beatles' best album, that or Revolver or whatever. Personally for me, I think Abbey Road is their best album. But I'll admit also it's probably because Abbey Road has pretty much up there with Hey Jude as my favorite song, and of course that being the song Here Comes the Sun. Just a beautiful, gorgeous song. Just an amazing album overall. If you've never actually listened in full to Abbey Road from the Beatles, do yourself a service. Just check it out here on YouTube. Just listen to the album in full, and you'll understand why people like me highly praise this album over any other Beatles album. For me, arguably my personal favorite, I would say probably second would be some of the earlier work like Yellow Submarine. It's probably my second favorite. But with that said, last but not least, outside of rock is, in my opinion, a true man of definitely fashion taste. Arguably, in my opinion, the most iconic person when you think of singers with like big band and jazz music. I don't think of anyone else other than Frank Sinatra. I'll be honest, I was raised, thankfully, my mother raised me around great classic rock like the Beatles, like the Beach Boys, Aerosmith, Frank Sinatra music, which I'm thankful for. I love, fun fact, I'm actually a pretty big fan of jazz, as well as occasionally some blues. But to me, this is a great collection to vinyls. You have many great songs on here. I mean, specifically, though, you want to talk about some great songs, look no farther than songs like My Kind of Town, which is a all-time classic from him, as well as songs like, of course, My Way, his most iconic, along with also New York, New York. I personally wish it would have also had the song Don't Dance, as well as maybe a few other songs I would have liked on here. Of course, you have great songs like Love and Marriage, which is a very iconic song. Also, I love this just because of this cool art inside and a bunch of like stories and stuff from like interviews with Frank Sinatra, which actually also, in my opinion, had some great movies I really enjoyed of stuff he worked on. But he truly was a true man, a true showman. He always gave 100% to his performances, always performed with a suit. He was a true class act, in my opinion. But that is it, and quickly show you what the vinyls look like with him. The first one is this beautiful blue shade, and the second one is this beautiful, like, light blue. But I love regardless. But anyways, that is it for my vinyl collection. As I said, relatively small. I think a good start, especially given the artists and albums so far. It's a good starting point, and I look forward to may in the future do another video, maybe a few months from now. But we'll see. But stay safe, everyone, and have a good upcoming holiday season. We're just a few weeks out now. Early November, hard to believe it, but I'll see y'all soon enough. Same YouTube time, same YouTube channel.